So obviously we're just gonna leave all the lights on at all times. David F. Sandberg directs Lights Out. Lights Out is based on the 2013 short of the same name. I don't know how many people out there saw the short. I caught it on Vimeo. It was floating around the internet like, oh my God, have you seen this short? It's so scary, right? And I really liked the short Lights Out. I liked it a lot. David F. Sandberg, he did so much with very little. And then I watched another one of his shorts on there, Pictured. That was another great little horror short. He's really, really good at creating mood, creating this feeling of uneasiness, and he doesn't even use any words. The original Lights Out short, 0 dialogue. It's all imagery. And it was creepy. It was really creepy. I loved the creature design in this movie. The creature design was awesome. It was great in the short, and it was really good in this film, save for towards the end. I'm going to keep this review non-spoiler, but at the end there is a little bit of a reveal, I shall say, and not too happy with that. There's this thing with horror movies, and it's become not only a trope of the genre, but also a trope of criticism of the genre. The don't let the audience see the monster thing. Whenever you fully reveal this evil creature that the audience member has been imagining in his or her mind the entire time, usually the viewer builds a much scarier, terrifying version of whatever monster you're going for. But when that creature is revealed in full and it doesn't quite live up to the audience's expectations, and they vary from audience member to audience member. What's great about movies like this is that they show you just enough of the creature to terrify you and then leave you to sort of fill out all the gaps in your head. I've always liked that about this particular creature. The silhouette, the sounds, the creepiness, everything is sort of masked in shadow because this monster literally can only exist and does only exist in shadow, does not exist in light. That keeps this monster, this creature design, literally in the dark. What a great thing to explore, right? As human beings' natural fear of the dark. All that being said, I did feel like they over-explained the creature in this movie, and I think that has something to do with the fact that the short that this movie was based on was, as I said, purely visual. And so it's really all you needed to know. When the lights are off, the monster's there. When the lights are on, the monster's gone. I feel like they were like some writers got into a room and were like, okay, we're gonna expand this to a full-length movie. So, why is this monster only visible in the dark? And why does light hurt her? And why what if they sort of doubled down and then tripled down on the explanation? It's kind of unnecessary. Like, it's fine. It's a horror movie. It's fine. When it's dark, there's a monster. When it's light, the monster's not there. They hinted at it in one scene, and then you're like, oh, okay, got it. All right, so that's where the monster, okay, yeah, got it. And then they doubled back on it, and we're like, no, this is exactly what happened. Yeah, I mean, you hinted at that. I inferred that. But okay, yeah, yeah. And then I think they tripled down on it. I remember them like triple explaining. And it was sort of like, it's okay. We get it. Moving on. James Wan was actually a producer on this film, and it definitely showed. The movie benefited from that because there was so much that was done right there in the camera. It didn't look like a particularly high-budget film. Didn't need to be. I mean, the story, very simple. The scope was very small, but there was a grittiness, a realness. I could see that inspiration brought into the film, and I liked it a lot. I can't remember a single shot that looked like CGI to me. And that's good. That's the best kind of CGI, is when you don't know that it's CGI. As I said, there were few characters, small scope, but some bold choices in this movie, especially towards the end. Mini spoiler, I guess. Normally in movies like this, the cops or authorities or whoever can save the day and make everything okay, usually they don't show up until after the protagonist has already dealt with the monster, the creature, whatever. The monster's finally been defeated, and then you hear the sirens in the background. In this movie, people show up. Like other people outside of the main characters that are dealing with this monster, they show up, and it's not really, there's not a whole lot of like, I don't believe you, or you're crazy, or it's all in your head, or blah, blah. Like they deal with the fact that there is a monster that exists in the dark, and we need light to defeat the monster. The performances in this movie were fine. They were good. Maria Bello plays the mom. She did a very good job. I'm not really sure why they needed the boyfriend. There's a boyfriend character in this film, boyfriend to the main protagonist, and he like wants to be her boyfriend, but she doesn't want him to be her boyfriend, and he sort of gets swept up in this, and he's just kind of there. Like he's sort of like, let's go. Okay, you're going to come along with me on this really scary thing that we're doing. It could have been isolated to just the family because the main sort of crux of the story is about the family. They also did, in my opinion, I think you shared this opinion. You might have even brought this opinion out of me. They did telegraph the ending a little bit. I touched on it a little bit in my Conjuring 2 spoiler review, if you've seen that. Kind of a similar thing happened there where the ending of the film may have been a little bit stronger if you didn't tell the audience what was going to happen before it happened. Made the climax of the movie kind of seem like not as big of a climax. But I liked it. I mean, it was not your typical jump scare horror. It was a very interesting idea. I really like that a director like David F. Sandberg can make this really creative, really original short and have it blow up and get turned into a feature. I thought that was really cool. So I would say if horror is your thing, definitely see this one because I like horror and I liked this movie. So guys, lights out. Did you see the movie? What did you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and you want to see any more of my ramblings about movies, you can always click right there to subscribe. This movie oddly mirrored this thing that I made up in my mind as a kid. As a kid, I used to go to a video rental store back when that was a thing, and I used to get VHS tapes back when those were a thing. And I remember as a kid, I rented a lot of horror movies in succession, like old horror movies that I wasn't alive for. Halloween was one. Watched like all the Halloweens on VHS. And I watched all the Critters movies, and as silly as those movies are to an adult, as a kid, they scared me. And I invented this thing in my mind that monsters could only exist in my bedroom if there was pure darkness. So any little sliver of light that came through, like if the moonlight was shining through the blinds, I was safe. Or if I had a night light or the lamp next to my bed, if that was on, I was safe. Even if there was a little bit of light coming from underneath the door, right? I was safe. But in total darkness, that's where these monsters, these like sort of critters-inspired monsters, I guess they were just critters, but I don't know, I was really scared. And it's odd that, you know, flash forward several decades, I don't know how old it was, but you have another person out there kind of with that same idea, that this monster can only exist in pure darkness. Maybe that speaks to the innate human nature of that fear, that psychological, I can't see, so I'm scared.
The unknown.
The unknown.